All right. Well, I'm really happy to be with you today. Um, Tips on live streaming and social media. Let me ask you a question. Are you live streaming right now? You probably are, because we're living during a pandemic, and right now that is our only option. And so I just want to say a few things. Number one, it's time for the Unity message. It's time for people to be able to hear the message of the hour, which is the Unity message. I really believe in it, and I know you do too. But why should people watch? Well, because we're meeting a need. The need is a spiritual one. And the idea is that Unity meets that inner desire for divine communion and also spiritual education. We have an opportunity like never before to take the Unity message worldwide. So here's some things to keep in mind. Before you start live streaming your church services, you should think about the cost. You should also take into consideration how your community feels and whether live streaming is even right for your church. The cost varies greatly, and the good news is it doesn't cost much at all to get started. So we'll cover a little bit on the cost a little bit later. Did you know that 80% of the people tell us that they would prefer to watch a live stream than to read a post, a blog, or an article? Isn't that interesting? I think people enjoy the connection and the being able to listen and hear what's being said. Something that many people never talk about is how church leaders, choir members, band members, and just members in general feel about having themselves streamed online. So it's important to get permission from your congregation before you begin streaming so that they know that it's okay. Even the most confident spiritual leader might feel a little bit insecure in front of the camera. It's important to discuss this with everyone and ensure that everybody is fine with it. So, in conclusion, I believe that your members will find it beneficial. And you will discover this is the best way to expand your church's reach. Now, here's the bonus. It won't strain your church's budget. And it will also help you to reach specific church goals. Wouldn't it be wonderful if you had another 1,000 people who were watching online, and a percentage of those folks were supporting your congregation? But I think it's important to set realistic goals. Whether you have 50, 500, or 5,000 people, the internet is the great equalizer. We are living in the golden age of video live stream. This is just like the time when television first got its start and first began to break ground. This is the same kind of idea. You're living in the golden age of communication. And so potentially you can reach hundreds of people or even thousands of people that are watching by live stream or that are connecting with you on social media. You can even add more income to your church budget. Did you hear that, board members? How much should you spend? Well, you don't have to break the bank, and that's the positive. You can start with just a few $100s. And so here's my mantra is start slow and learn as you go. Add equipment as you are able. Don't rush through it. You want to do it right. It's like building a house. First, you have the foundation, the floor, the walls, the ceiling, the roof, etc. So don't be afraid to ask your congregants for help. If you explain your mission to your community, then and they realize how important it is, especially right now during this pandemic that we're experiencing. People already know the value of streaming content. People want to be inspired, and they're looking for people just like you to share with. So here's tip number one. You want to get a decent camera. Most cameras today that we have, our cell phones are better cameras than the cameras that we had in the past. It's amazing. Our technology has really improved. So you want to decide what you need in order to be able to stream your presentation across the internet. And you can stream practically on any device, whether it be a phone, tablet, desktop, or video live streaming direct from your sanctuary. Now, interestingly, we have a family member that started a YouTube channel in her late 70s. After her first post, she shut off her computer, went to bed, and the morning when she came back, she had thousands of hits on her YouTube video. Now she's 84 and she has 1 million subscribers. It's amazing. Now, when Unity of Greenville, when we started streaming back in 2009, we had to learn as we went along. And I quickly realized that I could not do it alone if we were going to do it right. When we first began, the picture was a little grainy, the camera person would get distracted and forget to follow the action on the stage. The PowerPoint person would throw up the wrong slide, and then sometimes the person running the streaming would forget to even turn the software on. And so there was no program to be shown. Still today, we make mistakes. That's going to happen. And you cannot allow yourself not to do it just because you make mistakes. In Unity, we know that that's how we learn. We make a few mistakes, then we get better at what we're doing, but we never really ever get finished. We're constantly learning as we go, and that's important to keep in mind. So we now have reached out to people who are online and asked them to become a member of our church. And especially folks who don't have a local Unity church to be a part of. And some of our members are members of other churches as well as members of Unity of Greenville. And who says you can't be? So we do so appreciate that extra support. Now our goal is to put together the best program that we could do with the talents, the gifts, and abilities we have. I believe if you put forth your passion and joy in what you do, it will come back to you. Live streaming is different than an in-person church celebration service. There's no vocal feedback, and that's hard for some spiritual leaders. It was difficult for me as well. The reward or the payoff is a little different because you don't get the hug after the talk with somebody communicating with you how they enjoyed it or learned something that day. You have to rely on a different kind of emotional payoff for what you do. Now let's talk about live stream. At Unity of Greenville, we use a live stream platform that stores our programs on a large server somewhere in digital heaven. We started out with a small company called Sunday Streams for about $49 per month. And for us, it worked great. Through them, we streamed to our website where people could watch and enjoy our celebration services. Eventually, Sunday Streams was bought out by another company called Boxcast. And we had to make the switch. But we're so glad that we did, because now we have many more options that we did not know were even available to us. We can send a signal to YouTube, Facebook, our website, or anywhere else that people use to view streaming videos. So when you go to choose a platform, just make sure it does what you want it to do for now. You can always change and upgrade later, though sometimes it's better to get something that has the extra features so you don't have to switch later on. In the beginning, we started with a free streaming service, and there are some that are out there. Now, the problem with the free services is that they play commercials throughout your program. And so right in the middle of your live stream, a commercial is going to come on. So other options are Facebook Live and YouTube Live, and they are both excellent free streaming platforms. It just takes some marketing awareness so folks know where they can watch. Now, I want to talk to you about having a support team. Remember, you can't do this by yourself. So the first thing you'll need, and anybody who's ever been involved with any kind of film industry, then you know that you have to have a director. Someone to guide the camera shots, let you know when to start, when to stop. They kind of direct the whole thing, the program, to make sure that it's all coming across in the right kind of way. So you're going to need a director. Number two, you need a set designer. Do you have an interesting set? One that's nice, but not overwhelming, that uses the right colors to set the mood that you desire. And remember, when setting or putting a design together, that subtlety is the key. If it's too much, if it's too complicated, then people will spend all their time looking at the set and not paying attention to the person delivering the message. So that's important to keep that in mind. You want it to be just enough so that it helps to provide some ambiance. Lighting is another key. The right lighting can make you look radiant and more natural. The idea of using light is so that you look natural. That's important, the right kind of lighting. So you may need to have someone to do the lighting for you. You could get a director of photography. Do you need pictures, PowerPoint, videos to help keep it interesting, to let people know times, dates, events, and those kinds of things? Do you know of someone that has an eye for photography or graphics? Now, some people don't, and it's important to be able to call upon those folks that you know that you can count on to help you in this area of photography and graphics. You may need a costume designer. Clothes are your costume and speak volumes about you. Now, wearing a suit attracts certain kinds of people, as does wearing a t-shirt. So be true to who you are. Now, I believe today people like authenticity, and they want to be comfortable with their leaders. So I kind of like to be somewhere in between, but once in a while I might wear a suit. Sometimes I might even wear a t-shirt. Usually I just kind of hit the middle of the road, like a business casual kind of thing. And that seems to work for me. You might need a prop person. What props can you use for object lessons to get across your points? It's good to use props, but like anything else, you want to keep it simple. Keep it simple. Simplicity is the key. Sometimes less is more. You can bring in a prop and use it, and that can be helpful in making a point. Now, this is something here you may or may not need, but I wanted to mention it because it is one of the people who are involved. Anytime that you're presenting yourself, you might need a makeup artist. You know, somebody told me if your room in your house needs a little paint to refresh it, isn't it a good idea to do it? Well, you know if you need that or not. So a makeup artist. Now, all of these things that I'm talking about, it may be one or two people or three people who do all of these things. That's very possible. Now, sometimes it's the minister who starts out and does all of these things. but I want to encourage you to look around in your congregation and see what kind of talents that people have, and talk with them and say, hey, is this something that you would like to do? And then you can show them what you're looking for, and people can step up and volunteer, and that could be a really big help to you. A video editor is also something that you're going to need. You're going to need someone to edit, to do some cutting and pasting, and maybe put some videos together. Now, a lot of times when you're live streaming, well, what you see is what you get, and that's the way it is. But there are times when you may want to take excerpts from your talk and put those out there on social media, because a lot of times folks that are coming across your live stream, they may not have time to watch the whole thing, and we know that people's attention span is not very big today, and so they may only watch for just a couple of seconds, then they're moving on to the next thing. So you may want to have some slices, some pieces of your talks, and cut those out and put those out on social media so that people can see what your church is about. And maybe there's something, that a retweetable moment that you want to share. And so that's something that your editor can help you with. They could put that together. They could cut those pieces out and make them available to the internet. Make sure you have a good sound engineer. That's very important. You want to sound good. A lot of times when we stream, if you don't have your mix done right, then it can come across muddled, or can sound too tinny, or whatever, whatever technical word you want to use. So it's important to have somebody that has a good ear who can mix the sound for you, so that when the sound is going out, you know that people are hearing the best version of what you have to present. Which brings me to the next thing. Should you live stream your music? Should all parts of your service be live streamed? You may want to ask yourself some questions. What are people tuning in for? Sometimes the teaching is the primary focus. Sometimes if your music is really good, that might be a focus, or maybe folks are coming to enjoy the meditation. Well, what we've learned is that it's important to start up front with your strongest and your best presentation, whatever that is. And maybe it's a teaching, maybe, you could practice doing the talk up front, maybe, or at least close to the front. Whatever it is, I think it's important to ask yourself, well, what is it that folks are coming to our site, or coming to our church? What is it that they enjoy? Now, the thing of it is, people who come to your church and are used to your band and used to your music and used to the people who sing, they're going to love it. But somebody from the outside who doesn't know those people, who doesn't interact with those people, they might say, well, hey, I can just go to YouTube and listen to all kinds of professional music. I really don't care about the music. And so that's something that you want to consider. And I think when you do music, you want to do it at a very high level. You want to be able to present it in a way that people can enjoy it. When there's a lot of mistakes in the music, or if it's pitchy, or if someone is out of tune, that tends to turn people off, and they'll just think to themselves, well, this group is not very professional. I'm not even going to take the time to listen to anything else, because the music isn't being done well. So it's just something to think about. I just wanted to pass that along to you. But there are multiple ways to live stream your church service. What I'm sharing today is primarily broadcast mode. In other words, when you stream from your sanctuary. Now you can, like we're doing right now this moment, you can stream from your desktop. You can stream from your laptop. And there's many ways to do it. Sometimes, you know, it's nice to go outside with your phone and walk around and do something, or on a tablet. But it's important that you're comfortable with whatever way that you're doing the live stream. I know there are times when we've tried different things and I just didn't feel comfortable. I just didn't feel like it was for me to do. And so that's up to you. Wherever you feel most comfortable, and whatever way works for you best, that's what you want to stick with. Now, here's a very important point. When you're using a computer to stream, you want to make sure that you wire in your internet. You want to use a wired Ethernet connection so that you make it your primary internet source. When we first started streaming, we used Wi-Fi. And the problem with that is that we were having people who were coming into the church and they had their devices with them. And they were using their devices and they were using much of our bandwidth, so that we had a lot of problems, disturbances during our live stream. And so we had to hardwire in the internet in order to be able to get a consistent signal. See, when you're directly wired in, you're always connected. And there's no frequency disruption, and there's no sharing of Wi-Fi access point with 50 other people in the service. So if you have a network IT person or somebody who knows about that, they can do that for you. Or you could call your cable company and ask them to come out and do it and see what the cost is there in order to get the computer bandwidth that you need. Now, the next tip is you want to engage people with the chat. This isn't programmed television anymore. We have a chat now, and there is interaction. So don't be afraid to interact with your audience in chat. At the minimum, you want to at least thank everyone through your chat for watching, and let them know you appreciate them watching for wherever they're watching from. But if you want to take it to the next level and really engage with your audience, ask where they're watching from. How's the weather there? Or what are they up to after church? Anything to get people commenting and connecting. The beauty of this tip is it's not one more thing for the camera person to do. Anyone can be your chat moderator. They don't even have to be in the booth or on your campus. You can have somebody who is on Facebook with you who has admin capabilities, and they can do the chat and chat with folks. And that's a good thing. All right, the next tip, put thought into your title and descriptions on social media. Now, we know that our videos need titles, but a sermon title isn't always the best social media title. People won't stop for July 21st sermon. They will, however, stop for something like spirituality versus religion, right? Or a how-to, and then you fill in the blank. We need to capture people's attention in this world where everybody gets what they want now, you know? And so in order to get viewers watching to the end, you want to help them connect with an idea. So your title and descriptions will do that. Now, when your followers on Facebook are scrolling, they typically see the description rather than the title. So put more attention and time into crafting a good description. If you can't think of a catchy description, one secret is to ask the presenter, what's the one thing you want people to walk away knowing? And this will clue you into the main idea of what the talk is about. Then you can flip it into a catchy question, such as, is God a Christian? Right? All right, here's another tip. Using multiple cameras can help break the monotony of your stream. There are a few ways you can use your second or third or fourth camera. A second angle of the stage or person speaking, a camera shot of the band. You can get a close-up with one camera and a wide shot with another camera, and then you could switch back and forth. And then you can set those up with a switcher and be able to switch the camera views. And so you would have a monitor or screen where you have all of the camera views that you have. And then you can work with those and set those up, and you can just kind of switch back and forth. And that makes it more interesting. Now, there's nothing wrong with just using one camera. We've been doing it for years, but we're getting ready to get a couple of new pan and tilt cameras where we can actually zoom in closer and get a side view. And sometimes you can get a reverse view of the audience that's watching. And so there are all kinds of ways. So, but the key is when you look at the picture, you want to be able to frame the person in the picture, like you were taking a picture of the person with a camera, with a regular camera. And when you can do that, and you can get the headshot just right, you can tell when it's right. Now, you need to get people who are doing cameras that will pay attention. This is one of the problems that we've had is the people will get interested in the subject matter that's going on the stage, and then they forget to follow the action, you know, where it's taking them, what's going on. And so that's why it's important to kind of pull back and to do a larger widescreen shot, especially if you have folks that get distracted easily. And then every once in a while, you can move it in and get a close-up shot and maybe just get a headshot. There's all kinds of ways, all kinds of different angles that you can use. So below this teaching, you'll see that there are some resources. And take a look at some of the links, and they go into depth about many of the things that we were talking about, and can actually show you how that you can build a studio right there in your church, in your sanctuary, so that you can begin to reach people and with the positive message of unity, which is what the world needs right now. Wouldn't you agree? All right, I want to thank you for listening today. Those were just a few tips for you. If you have any questions for me, you can email me, and I'd be happy to share with you some of my limited knowledge. But you do learn as you go, and you kind of pick up some things along the way. So thanks for listening. If you'd like to share a donation with UMass, we would appreciate that as well. And God bless, and enjoy the rest of your day.